And here's a look at some of the more notable games on the Week 4 slate in the NFL. At the Vikings and Saints, they've been in London all week preparing for the game in front of the expats, maybe some newbies at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Also a big-time showdown in Baltimore as the Ravens play host to the Bills. And on Sunday night, it's the Chiefs and Bucks in a Super Bowl 55 rematch. Of course, every game is in play, and that's what really matters as we head towards the weekend. And we welcome in the Wizard of Odds, Kenny White, and Sportsline analyst Todd Fuhrman. And guys, everything but the Dolphins Bengals is available to you. Kenny, what is your top wager against the spread for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers, laying 3 at home, really a must-win situation. I give a huge coaching edge to Mike Tomlin. The offense has been horrible, obviously. We know that, 32nd in the league. But the Jets not much better at 25th, just 5.2 yards of play. I think the edge in the game is the Pittsburgh defense. They're still, with a couple of injuries on that defense, still a far better defensive football team. Zach Wilson also, no preseason, no regular season games. I think there's going to be a lot of rust for him. I think you're going to see a lot of pressure from the Pittsburgh defense on Wilson the entire game.
And you know what, Kenny? I'm going to stay in the same division, but I'm going to take a short home underdog, and that would be the Baltimore Ravens, catching 3 in their own building, welcoming in the Buffalo Bills. Now, I know the Bills were tough luck losers last week. When you look at some of the numbers, they had a 51-play discrepancy over the Miami Dolphins. They were nearly 300 yards better offensively. But this has as much to do with injuries as anything else. This is a Buffalo team that has a laundry list of players officially listed as questionable. Their secondary has been a mash unit that should get reinforcements back next week or the week after with Tre'Davious White. But we're still not sure about Jordan Poyer, who's officially questionable. Christian Benford ruled out with a broken hand. And when you don't have athletic safeties like the Bills could be faced with this weekend, it caters into what the Ravens want to do. They can utilize Lamar Jackson's legs that have been extremely effective through the first 3 weeks, or they can get their receivers involved down the middle of the field, with Mark Andrews being arguably the most complete tight end in the league. I know Buffalo, I thought, could be a little bit undervalued here, but I think they're still being priced as the team we saw in 2 high-profile games in standalone spots early in the season. Overvalued here. I'll take the Ravens, not just plus the points. I think they went out right on the football field.
All right, now time for your top money line wager. Todd had the Dolphins at plus 185 last week when they upset the Bills. Todd, who are you backing this week?
You know, not quite as juicy for me here, Hakeem. I'm actually going to take a short home favorite and shop around as always for the number here. I'll back the Carolina Panthers, who play host to the Arizona Cardinals. This is a Carolina team that was a little bit of smoke and mirrors last week in their 22-14 win against New Orleans. We've been watching the injury report, trying to figure out if Christian McCaffrey is going to be a go on Sunday. But even if McCaffrey isn't there, I have some major concerns about this Arizona defense, who may get J.J. Watt back. But at the same time, this is still a bottom 5 unit for me, and traveling on the road, even as prosperous as it's been for them, I think they're up against it. Baker Mayfield has struggled throughout the early portion of the season, but for me, this is as much about Carolina defensively and what they can do. This team can be run on. Fortunately for them, the Arizona Cardinals don't provide much of a rushing threat. They have athletes both on their defensive line and in the secondary that can spy Kyler Murray. And if you don't allow Murray to play sandlot football, it's tough for Arizona to move the football. If it wasn't for an improbable comeback against the Raiders, we'd be looking at Arizona, an 0-3 football team, and I'd probably have to lay a number closer to a field goal. I'll back Carolina here at a short money line price.
Yeah, I like that one, Todd, and I think you'll like mine. I've got the Ravens plus $1.40 here against Buffalo. All the same reasons. You know, it is a beat-up Buffalo defense. So they may get a couple players back this weekend, but amazingly, the offense last week protected the defense by keeping them off the field. They held the ball for 40 minutes of that game against Miami. Don't think that can happen again this time. John Harbaugh's offense with Lamar Jackson, number 1 in the league, 7.1 yards a play so far this season. It's the defense who's given up yards, but again, they've had some big leads, and they give up a lot of yards late in a lot of these football games. John Harbaugh's defense is far better than what the numbers say. I think they'll put pressure on Josh Allen, and this one will go back and forth. It's going to be a great game to watch because you got 2 quarterbacks who are playing at a very high level right now, but I think it's the injuries of the Buffalo defense that's finally going to give in here in Baltimore. The Ravens get the win.
All right, now we work our way to the totals portion of the program. Which game do you like best to hit the over this weekend? Kenny, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go with Jacksonville and Philadelphia. Both teams playing very fast. There's going to be a lot of plays in this game. Average plays in an NFL game, 125. Jacksonville's averaging 132. Philadelphia, 138. We've seen Jalen Hurts. We've seen the numbers he's been putting up. But on the other side, Jacksonville and Doug Peterson, and he is going against this old team in the Eagles. So you know this Jacksonville team's going to be fired up. They could be a little jet lagged, though, flying all the way to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers and then to Philadelphia this week, which would be great because I think it'll be the defense which will get tired first. But the offense, they're passing it 71% of the time. Doug Peterson's been very, very aggressive with Lawrence, and I think you're going to see that right now in this game. And two offenses that I have ranked better than their defenses. So I'm going to go over with Philly and Jacksonville over 45.5.
You know, Kenny, that's a total I absolutely love. I'm reluctant to admit I went over 47.5 on the open and may have to double down if the weather forecast is good for us there Sunday for all the reasons you outlined. A game that I like over in where I don't have to worry about weather, though, will be Cleveland and Atlanta. And this total is kind of ping-ponged all over the place, guys. It opened as low as 46.5, got as high as 50, and I can understand why there was a little bit of resistance because when you're talking about going over a total this high, names like Marcus Mariota and Jacoby Brissett don't leave you brimming with confidence. But at the same time, these two guys are leading offenses that are both top 10 right now in EPA. And this is a Browns defense who could be operating without Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, which will make it extremely difficult for them to contain the edge against the RPO offense that Arthur Smith's group has executed so effectively through the first few weeks. You're going to want to monitor the injury report with Cordarrelle Patterson, but I think the reason this total has come down is because he's highly questionable. At the same time, I actually like the way the Falcons are utilizing some of their young weapons. And Kyle Pitts, who was absent the first 2 weeks, but a focal point last week, and there's already a chemistry and rapport between Marcus Mariota and Drake London. I really believe both of these offenses should have success because I think the offensive lines will be able to push around their defensive counterparts. Over 47 for me down there in the South.
Browns and Falcons have both played to the over in all three of their games thus far. As for unders, they're hitting at an eye-popping 62% clip this season. Not always fun to bet an under, but it's profitable. Kenny, what's the game and the number you're targeting in Week 4?
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely profitable. Major League Baseball was great the first month, and NFL's been the same way for a strong month of football. We've been getting a lot of unders, and I like Tennessee and Indianapolis under this weekend, under 43. Two of the best running backs in football, and I think that's what we're going to see from both sides, and it's a big game, monster game for both teams. Tennessee 1-2 on the season. Indianapolis 1-1 with a tie. Tennessee, one of the 5 slowest teams in the league in snap percentage, 31 seconds in between plays. So they do like to take their time, less plays in Tennessee games. So I'm under the total with 2 really solid defenses as well. The Tennessee numbers don't show it. I think their defense is far better. Indianapolis ranked 6th in yards per play at 4.9. Todd?
Yeah, and Kenny, I'm going to go to a game on Monday Night Football that everyone's going to be watching, and I'm going to look to go under the total in the first half between the Rams and 49ers. When you consider these two teams and where they are at right now, I think both have a ton of questions they still need to answer offensively. You look at Jimmy Garoppolo's performance on Sunday Night Football against the Denver Broncos, and while it may take him time to feel comfortable with that surgically repaired shoulder, I think the 49ers are still trying to figure out what their identity is going to be with a banged-up backfield and no Mike McDaniel as their offensive coordinator. But fortunately for the Niners, they can lean on a defense that's extremely talented, especially in the trenches. And that's where I think they can take advantage against a Rams offensive line that leaves a lot to be desired. We saw Matthew Stafford really show happy feet last Sunday against an Arizona Cardinals defense that, as we talked about earlier, nothing to write home about. The Rams defensive line should be able to get after Jimmy Garoppolo as well. Replacing a player of the caliber of Trent Williams over the next 4 to 6 weeks will be extremely challenging. And these two teams, no strangers to playing low-scoring games against one another. I'll go under 20.5 in the first half. I think defensive lines can dominate, and it's going to take long, slow, methodical drives for these teams to put points on the board.
Prime time first half unders. Those are fun as well. Those have been hitting at a nice clip to start the season. All right, here's a look back at their best bets for Week 4, Todd and Kenny. Todd is going with the Ravens +3 against the Bills. Kenny laying the points with the Steelers as they take on the Jets. Todd likes the Panthers on the money line as his top money line wager. Panthers taking on the Cardinals, and the Ravens, of course, playing the Bills. Kenny likes the Ravens to win that game straight up. Cleveland and Atlanta over 47. Jacksonville and Philadelphia over 45.5. And the underplays, Rams and 49ers first half under 20.5 on Monday night. And Kenny's going Tennessee and Indianapolis under 43 on Sunday.
It is parlay time. It is time for your weekend NFL parlay. Todd, you're up first. What do you got?
You know, Ross, I know Hakeem's going to be a little bit disappointed because I don't have 8 or 10 legs here to try and get him the 100-to-1 payout that'll allow him to call in sick on Monday. Just a good old-fashioned correlated two-teamer for me in prime time on Sunday night. I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A pick 'em or +1 really doesn't matter there, and I'm going to tie that into the under. This is a Bucs defense that's light years ahead of its offense, and I think when you look at the new pieces there, they haven't missed a beat, specifically in the secondary. And against the Kansas City team that struggled to move the ball consistently against Indianapolis, I'm not sure it's going to be much better Sunday night either. Meanwhile, offensively, you guys showed the injury report earlier. And while I'm operating under the assumption that it's going to be mainly Russell Gage and Mike Evans, if Tampa does get another receiver upgraded, it just makes this even stronger. They should be able to run the football against the interior of that Kansas City defense. And it's hard to ignore, gentlemen, the last 12 times that Tom Brady has found himself installed as a home underdog. 9-3 straight up, 11-1 against the spread. Look for him to get his 12th cover in that role and the Tampa defense to do its part in a low-scoring football game.
I'm going to go with the 4-teamer. Oh, before that, Hakeem, I hope you played the 5-teamer last night. The same game parlay hit plus 1386. Yeah, that's my nice. second $10 or more parlay in the last 8 days. And I hope this one hits. It's close to being the same. Correlated parlay, Green Bay Packers laying the points and over 40 against the Patriots. Could be a big offensive showing for Green Bay. And then the Eagles laying the 6.5 and over the total with Jacksonville in their game. And again, Jacksonville, a lot of travel, could be very tired. Even though it is Doug Peterson's old team, those players from Philly are still there that did play for him. I think they'll play hard as well and put up a bunch of points.
Yeah,
Philly and over.
Kenny White, the parlay prince.
He is the parlay
prince right there. Wizard of Odds, the parlay prince right there. That was good last night.
He's all of it. Mike McClure, Sportsline betting analyst as well. Gentlemen, thank you so much. And if you want more of this magic from Kenny and Todd, I know you do. Check out their picks and a whole lot more. Go to sportsline.com. And if you want to join, you can use the promo code TROPHY to get your first month for $1.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.